name's Kevin and welcome to another video. In this video we're going to have a look at a couple of operations what we can use with the DRO system on the milling machine, and that's going to be an arc or arcs and cutting holes within a circle, say like on a cylinder head or on a flange fitting or something like that. So I'll show you the setup process for that. Obviously the setup process is on my DRO itself. Yours, you know, if you've got a DRO on your machine, may be different, but the principles are going to be the same. So anyway, so what we'll do, I'll draw a diagram on a piece of paper and that'll explain it better rather than trying to explain it on the video like this. So this is going to be our piece of material in the vise on the mill, and what we're literally going to do is just put an arc on this corner. There's other ways of using the arc command or the arc tool within the DRO. We can have an arc coming this way, or we can have an extended arc. You know, there's all different ways of creating arcs, and it all depends on what the job is in hand. So what we're going to do is we're just going to put a radius of 10 mil or a 10 mil radius on this corner. So that would be our radius there, which is 10. So our start points are going to be here, start and finish, and obviously these are in 10 millimeters. So our cutter, this is the start point for our cutter. So what we'll do is we'll use an edge finder to come up to this edge and to come up to this edge, and then we will work using the the DRO. Will come in 10 mil here, and we'll start from this point and we'll create this arc by using the instructions on the DRO. So what I'll do now is I'll show you, I'll set up the camera in front of the DRO and we'll set that up to create this arc. The DRO itself, we've got X, Y and the Z axes, and we've got all the settings down here for various things. So the one we're interested here is radius, so we'll press that radius button. And then we've got two options. We've got simple and we've got smooth. Self-explanatory really. Smooth will give you a smooth corner, whereas we're just going to use the simple mode to make it quicker. Because what happens with the smooth one is that it takes a lot more cuts, a lot more finer cuts to come round on that arc. So it gives you a smoother finish. But we're just going to use a simple one, like a roughen type, arc to begin with. Just to make it a bit quicker. You'll still get the grasp of how it works. Right, so we're in simple, so we just... Right, now we've got type, and we've got what type of arc we want, whether we want the cutter to come on the external or the internal of the arc or the external of the arc. So I know that that's type 4 what we need, because we want to be cutting on the outside of the arc. So we can accept that. Right, and now it's asking us how we want to produce that arc. So there's options here where you can have it on the X and Y plane, which is obviously just to take a corner off, or you can have it on X and the Z plane, which will then put the arc across the top of the material coming down. But we want it in the X and Y plane, so again accept that. Now it's asking us for a radius. I've already typed all this in, so we've got a 10 millimeter radius here. So next command. Right, now it's asking us for a tool diameter, and we're just going to be using just a normal end mill, just an 8 mil end mill. So we've set that, and the maximum cut. So this is where we can define how many times we want to cut as we come around that arc. So this is set up for 1 millimeter. So as you see, when I show you the finished article, you'll see that the step over, which is more or less a CNC term, but a step over means from one point to the next is 1 millimeter. So it will go around the corner, around that arc, cutting 1 millimeter at a time. Now it's asking us whether we want to come around the outside of the arc or on the inside of the arc. So obviously we're coming around the outside, so we use a plus figure, and now we're ready to go. So it's telling us here that this number 1, which is obviously 0, 0, because that's where the cut is going to start from. And then our next cut will be to start to move the X and Y axis to start that arc to come around that corner. Here's our piece of material. and we've got it set up in the mill. So I've just marked off our 10mm box on this corner here, and obviously the arc is going to come within that. So what we'll do, we'll just use the the edge finder, just to find those sides, and then we'll zero those sides, and then we can start to machine it. Right, now we'll swap the edge finder over for a cutter. And now we'll set up on 0 for to set the cutter in this corner, and then we'll come back 10mm, and then we can start our cut. Right, so that's the X. And that's the Y. So now that cutter is right off the point on our material. So what we can do now is we can move back 10mm up in the Y plane, and then we're ready to start our cut. And there we have an arc. And as you can see, the start and finish point is dead on the lines, which is good, which we wanted. And if I can show you on here, it's not focusing very well. Here you go. Right, you can see where we've used the 1mm step over, you can actually see where the corners got those lines coming down. So that's the step over. So if we wanted to go into the smooth setting on the DRO, we could smooth that out and do a lot more cuts. In that particular cut, we had about 18 divisions, 18 separate cuts. So obviously, if we were going to use the smooth setting and double it, we'd obviously have 36 or 38 cuts, depending on how the machine's going to, determine that. But we can have it. The DRO itself in the smooth setting is down to a 0.3 step over. Where we've used a 1mm step over. So as you can see, so those lines there, they'll be roughly about 1mm apart. But anyway, so that's the arc setting. And what we'll do now, we'll have a look at the circle setting and how we can actually drill holes within a circle, like I said, on a steam engine cylinder head, or on some sort of flange fitting or anything like that.